Good day, we are the Group White and these are the group members. Aksalan Joyce Ann, Lumbera Aliyah Miles, Manalansan Mempi, Masa Marie Joyce, Saladas Marjolin, Enriquez Arian Beatriz, Malyari Ana May, Mangalindan Camille, Regala Zaira Linet. Today, we're going to share our ideas and provided information about the understanding of language curriculum in the K-12 program. So, what is language and literacy? Language development refers to children's emerging abilities to understand and use language. Language skills are receptive, the ability to listen to and understand language, and expressive, the ability to use language to communicate ideas, thoughts, and feelings. Children's language ability affects learning and development in all areas, especially emerging literacy. Emerging literacy refers to the knowledge and skills that lay the foundation for reading and writing. For infants and toddlers, emerging literacy is embedded in the language and communication domain. This reflects how closely connected these emerging literacy skills are to very young children's beginning, receptive, expressive, and vocabulary skills. So, as a teacher, how do we promote emergent literacy in the classroom? It is important that we know the different emergent literacy activities, including engaging in shared story, book reading, pretending to write or draw, incorporating literacy themes into play, and engaging in oral wordplay such as rhyming. Shared storybook reading is arguably the most common emergent literacy activity for many children.
Attending and understanding. Goals for infants and toddlers. Teaching practices. Interactions. Attend to an infant's verbal and nonverbal communications and response with words and facial expressions to continue a back and forth exchange. Use questions and short comments to encourage toddlers' thinking and language learning. Environment. Arrange the space so there are comfortable places to engage children in conversation while carrying out routines. Offer a collection of bird and washable books that features pictures of familiar objects and experiences and introduce simple stories in English and the children's home or tribal languages. Individualization. Create and read books using photos of children and their families. Talk with children about their own experiences and in response to their interests. Attending and understanding goals for preschoolers. Teaching practices. Interaction. Speak slowly and clearly, stopping as needed to make sure children are following along. Talk with small groups at meal times and during activities to model language skills and to encourage children to listen to and communicate with each other. Environment. Provide home language and English versions of recorded books and stories. Offer interesting things to explore that lead children to talk and share ideas with each other. Individualization. Learn and use a few important and meaningful words in a child home language. Observe and keep track of a child's receptive language skills while encouraging expressive language.
So, I will share some insights about communicating and speaking. This is the language and communication subdomains. Goals for infants and toddlers, teaching practices. For interactions, as a older or teacher, you need to respond to children's nonverbal and verbal requests by meeting their needs consistently. Repeat children's communications to seek confirmation or clarification and to encourage them to extend their language use. In terms of environment, You must make books available in multiple areas of the home or early childhood setting. Include books in the languages children hear at home and in the setting. Example from home language, English, tribal language. Create cozy places where an adult can sit and talk with one or a few children. This gives an opportunity to talk or have interactions with them. Individualization. Introduce new vocabulary words in response to a child's interest. Hold one-on-one conversations with children to help them learn the give and take of the conversation. So, overall communicating with infants and toddlers by talking to them and providing opportunities for them to communicate is very important for their future development. Parents and early childhood care providers are the best people to assure that infants and toddlers have these language opportunities. So, and talking with your baby or toddlers can help his language and communication development. The more you talk with your baby or toddler, the better. This is because parents who talk a lot to their young children use lots of different sounds and words. When chil- when children hear more words and lots of different words, it improves their understanding of language. So that's all for communicating and speaking.
Babak po muna. Thank you. Now, we're going to talk about the communicating and speaking as a language and communication subdomain for preschoolers. In terms of interactions, we need to help our children to learn how to take turns expressing their ideas and provide numerous opportunities for children to use language with adults and each other. Next, in terms of environment, we must provide conversation starters such as interesting things to see, hear, and touch. Engage children in creating experience charts illustrated with photos so children can revisit and discuss experiences. And in terms of individualization, we must provide augmentative and alternative communication tools such as communication board. Pair a child with strong expressive language skills with a child whose skills are less developed. In a positive two-way communication, it is essential in building your children's self-esteem. While children thrive with words of encouragement and praise, listening to a child boosts their self-esteem and enables them to feel worthy and loved. We all know that language is a vital part of human connection. Although all species have their ways of communicating, humans are the only ones that have mastered cognitive language communication. Language allows us to share our ideas, thoughts, and feelings with others. So language is important as a part of children development. It supports your children's ability to communicate and it also supports your children's ability to express and understand feelings. So here's are some ways you can help your children develop their communication skills. Talk about the day's activities. Talk with your child about the books you read together. Talk with your children about the TV, programs, and videos you watch together. Keep books, magazines, and other reading material which kids can reach them without help. Preschoolers can use their language skills to talk about the things that are beyond their personal lived experiences like dinosaurs, rocket ships, and fairy princesses. They also talk about the past and the future. They give reasons for why things happen, listen to stories read aloud, and talk about the characters and actions. They also engage in pretend play with other children, enjoy wordplay, funny stories, and silly rhymes. They also talk about emotions. Now, we can help the children practice their communication skills just by having plenty of conversation with them. Following their lead and talking about things they're interested is in a good way to start. So here are some more ways to help your child develop their conversation skills. We can read and talk about picture books with your child. This will help you understand your child's thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Encourage your child to take turns to talk during your conversations and gently remind your child that only one person can speak at a time. This develops good conversation skills and builds your children listening skills. Explain to your child that in some situation, they have to listen quietly while other people talk. A good example might be group time at preschool. Model turn taking in your conversation with others. Give your child specific praise and encouragement for good communicating. For example, thank you for letting me finish what I was saying. Next po.
Hello everyone! I did my research and I found out that vocabulary is important as a domain of literacy for the child development, since it refers to the knowledge of words including their structure, use grammar, meaning semantics, and links to other words. Also, it refers to a list or collection of words or phrases usually alphabetically arranged and explained or defined. And as a teacher, we can do these interactions. First, provide the words for objects and other things and repeat them often because repetition also a practice to master a new skills. Second, build on the children's language using vocabulary. The children may not know yet that means you are exposing them to the new set of words for them to be familiar with it. While along with interactions, we should also know that their environment is important. As a teacher, you can provide language-rich environment. In this kind of environment, it's like letting your learners to have interaction to one another since talking and listening is important for them. And the best activity we could give them is update dramatic play props to reflect children's current interests and experiences. It is like giving them a free environment to show off their interests. Then, for individualization, teacher could tailor requests and directions to the child's age and stage of development and help a children to learn the words used to express feelings and desires. In my opinion, vocabulary is also one of the foundations that could be enhanced by simple ways and practices but effective for the child's learning process.
Now let us talk about phonological awareness. Goals for preschoolers. These are the teaching practices that will help students develop their phonological awareness. When in terms of the interactions, we should play games and sing songs throughout the day that build phonological awareness. Read aloud books and poetry that play with sounds and words. And in terms of the environment, set up a listening center with recordings of songs and books that include language play. Provide puppets and props that go with rhyming and wordplay books to encourage children to revisit the books on their own. Individualization. Use children's name often and highlight the sounds found in them. Incorporate wordplay naturally when holding individual conversations with children. It is very important to give students enough attention to identify where they struggle a lot and where they are good at in order to give them the proper practice to develop their phonological awareness.
So aside from the domains of literacies they have mentioned, so what I can share is about print and alphabet knowledge. So how can we and children can express feelings and acquire learning through these activities? So we need to have an interaction in this matter, wherein the parents should focus on their child and have an interaction by using print materials while it is early. For example, their child is an infant. As a parent, you should introduce those kinds of books every day and telling them the content of story. Remember that there are more vocabulary, there are more learning that your child acquired. And it is better if you only let them to interact the book on their own so that they will begin to familiarize the letter, the words, and other things inside the books. And as a parent, you need also to explain them. And for toddlers, same as for infant. As a parent, you need to introduce them books and let them think and develop their intellectual ability. They will also pay attention to those environmental print and think what kind of print it is by asking their parents. And for the people who comprehend and read correctly the prints, it can help them or us to express and share ideas and emotions and let other people read and share this work. So next.
What is comprehension and text structure? A child, demonstrate an understanding of narrative structure through storytelling and retelling. This organization guides the reader's early comprehension by enabling them to recognize relationships among structural elements in the text. Goals for preschoolers. Teaching practices. The effective teaching practices is also support goals for children and subdomains. This is the nature of teaching learning in the early years. Interactions. Read book Read book aloud from beginning to end the first time they are introduced to children. Read the same books again and again so children can recall the plot, characters, and events. Environment. Provide a variety of puppets and books related to props so children can retell a story from a book or make up a new one. Provide blank books so children can retell stories through illustrations and writing at their developmental levels. Individualizations. Hold one-on-one conversations with children. Focus on books. Read aloud. Offer adult-made or purchase materials that allow a child to practicing sequencing. Next,
Writing. Goals for preschooler. Teaching practices. Interactions. Encourage children to write or dictate stories or explanations to go with their work. Model the many different purposes for print and encourage children to write as part of their play and other activities. Environment. Offer writing materials in all learning centers and outdoors. Provide the materials needed to write, illustrate, and bind books. Individualization. Adapt writing tools so children who have difficulty with fine motor skills will be able to grasp them. Spend time observing and supporting individual children's writing skills. Respond with the tools, opportunities, and encouragement each child needs.
Thank you for listening.